And we are live, coming to you from Cape Cod, Massachusetts. The home of the Pilgrims is the Short Vol Show live, broadcast to you on YouTube live and in person. And we have exciting news to report to you today, the return of Contango. Yes, that's right. We have printed in Contango already today. Now, it won't be official until we close in that state, but this is an exciting moment. You know, the VIX has really followed the whole pandemic in very closely, and you know the market doesn't always follow one thing. It gets excited about, you know, one day it's like China, then it's bonds. Sometimes the market, you can't tell what it's following, but lately very closely tied to this whole pandemic thing. And as the United States starts to reopen, we see the VIX has come down low enough that we have returned to a state of contango in the VIX term structure. Now, this is a cause for celebration for the show and for all of us short vol folks. What does this change for you at the moment? Nothing. It's just a continuation of a move down in the VIX. However, it's a significant moment that we just want to point out because the chart has switched. We've reached that pivot point into contango. Now, does this change a whole lot? Well, for some people, they will put positions on in the VIX now because this has happened. Is this going to like accelerate the move to the downside? I don't think it'll have that much of an effect, but it certainly is a sign that the market is coming back to some normalcy. Let's take a quick look at the chart of the VIX, and then we will go to the term structure, of course, because that's the most exciting spot to look. But let's take a look at the VIX first here, and we can see really, we are still in a spike, of course. Even with the move down, it still appears, and let me recenter, of course, my chart once again. But as we move down here, it still is apparent that we are in an elevated state here, of course. And there we go, boom. And you can see, you know, still way above the normal range. I remember like a year ago when people would say, oh, the average VIX is around 20. And I would think to myself, wow, 20, that sounds kind of high for the average. Because, you know, the last couple of years, it seemed like, well, 14 was high. We were hanging out around this area of like a VIX of like, you know, 12, 13, 10, 9. And when people would say, well, the average is 20, I would think, wow, I would sell a 20 right away. But that's not the case these days. These days, you know, 20 seems, you know, if VIX would go back to 20, it would seem like a dream come true for those of us short, or it would seem like it was very cheap and a buying opportunity for many people. But, you know, it's all in a progress of events. You know, a lot of times people will put up a chart of like the VIX term structure and they'll say, well, what does this all mean? And just when you know, the term structure is just a snapshot. The markets are always moving. And when we look at stuff, we're comparing it in our minds to what it was yesterday and imagining what it will be tomorrow. And that's the way the term structure really works a lot. Hello, Spencer. Welcome to the show. KS, let's see, Gilead announces top results from so Gilead's those people that are doing the testing of that antiviral remdesivir. There we go. Okay, hey, what's up, James McLean? What's going on, everybody? So to get back to what I was talking about here, the VIX term structure has printed in contango. How do we know that? Well, if you look to the futures that are just off to my the right of my head here. Let's see if I pull up VIX. Will it pull up the futures? Maybe not. But right now, the front month future trading 32.25. The second month future 32.30. So we are in contango by 5 cents. Now, 5 cents doesn't matter that much, but once again, this is the progress of us coming from massive backwardation, you know, 20% backwardation, now all of a sudden back in contango. Now, let's take a look at the chart because it's a little bit confusing, and the whole chart certainly is not in contango. And even when we look at this chart now, it might not even show the front months in Contango because it's delayed by a couple minutes. And indeed, it's showing us just flat. We need to close in Contango today for this to be quote unquote official. So we'll have to see. The market might fade like it did yesterday. And we might pop out before the end of the day. So really not official until we get close to close confirmation here. And even in this chart I'm showing now, which is a little bit delayed, it's not showing us in Contango. I kind of want to take a snapshot of, in fact, I'm going to take a snapshot of my screen just to prove that we were in Contango at one time here today for us. And boom. So there you can see on your screen like what I see there, which is Contango, right? The front month 32.30, second month 32.35. So there it is. Official intraday Contango. It doesn't really count until it's close to close, of course. Although, it would still be an asterisk that we came out during the day briefly. Now, certainly, this does not indicate something happening in the future. This is not like, oh, well, now that this happened, that means that stuff is going to go one direction or another. We are just marking the passage of this happening. It's not predictive, once again. But what is clear is that the markets haven't really been moving around very much at all lately. We had the NASDAQ down a little bit yesterday, but really the S&P really just unched. Who cares about Contango? Oh, why care about Contango? We care about Contango because Contango is really the driver which forces these products, SVXY, UVXY, VXX, TVIX. This is really the driver of decay, which forces these products lower over time. When we look at a chart of VXX over time and it's going down, the reason in the long term that it just continues to go lower and lower and continues to reverse split is due to the decaying effects of Contango. And this is why we care about it so much. It's not something that affects things minute to minute, but over a time period, it affects things a ton. And I would say to the newer traders out there, as you're in this business longer and longer, your time horizon starts to move out with trades. And certainly there's been many publications that have talked about the people who are more successful in life plan stuff out farther in time. There are those who they don't care about what happens next week. They're going to spend their paycheck right away and let's just party out and have fun. Then there are those they're looking at a couple weeks. Well, those who are planning out have a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan ahead of them about what they're going to do, and they make their actions follow what they want to occur farther out in time. Well, this is the people who are really successful. And certainly with the stock market, we have to look beyond today. Yeah, you can day trade and scalp, 2 points in a stock here and there. But for those of us who want to make money day in and day out and over a period of time, we look farther out. And something like Contango, the average that these products are in Contango, I don't know exactly what it is, but I would say it's about 5 or 6%. And what that means is that these flat, there's stuff isn't decaying very much. Even if we pop into Contango slightly, it doesn't mean that there's a lot of decay on these products. It just means that we've turned the corner into decay. So let's see, casual camera. What a disappointed. Where's the blonde girl? The blonde girl, that is Vanny Love. Vanny Love is I'm so sorry that you don't like my face. I can put Vanny Love up there, though, maybe. Let's see if I can find another picture of her. Vanny Love is a cam girl who is out of, I believe she's out of Berlin, and it's been very upsetting lately because she has not been online for about a month. We talk about her sometimes on this channel because, unfortunately, or not unfortunately, but I've posted pictures of her before, and fans of this channel will know that I'm a Vanny Love fan, but she has not been seen online in 3 months, so we miss Vanny Love. but we'll try to get her back. Let me see if I can put up another picture of her, because I certainly agree with you that my face cannot compete with that of Vanny Love. So let's find another picture of her to put in my place as we continue this morning with the broadcast. So just to talk about oil for a second, I was looking at oil because market participants will know that oil has had a steep contango chart as well. So I was thinking, well, oil has been in contango of almost 50%, and can we capitalize on that? But it turns out that when I looked at the prospectus for UCO, the dual leveraged oil fund, most of the futures that they own are out in September. So that's really not going to take advantage of the maximum decay due to contango. So here's Vanny Love. It's not a huge picture though, but let me see if I can. Here's another picture of her. Let me see if I can put that up for you there and get out of the way. Ooh, let's make that bigger. All right, so there's Vanny Love. So hopefully that will placate those who would rather not see my face. Yeah, so looking at oil, we've seen a little bit of a rally today, which is good. And I was looking at UCO because it's rich premium, and it seems like a good spot to sell something. Now, certainly there's fear of a spike up in oil. I think probably people are more fearful of the upside than the downside right now. However, there's uncertainty, and there's rich premium in the oil stuff. So I would encourage you to take a look at that if you get a moment. Let's take Vanny Love and put her to the side just for a second here. I promise we'll bring her back. And let's take a look at the charts once again as we emerge from a situation of backwardation into contango. This is very exciting because this means it's go time for a lot of people to jump back into the short vol trade. Remember, there's several things that make the short vol trade attractive, but being in contango is one of the major ones. And but let's take a look once again at the VIX Central chart, and let's analyze this for a second, because the chart itself is still mainly backward, right? The futures, if you look at it, seem to have a downward slope, and indeed they do. Now, that's very kind. When we look at this, there's still a downward slope. Now, this would be like the best of all worlds if the first two futures have a downward slope and we can still take advantage of contango, whereas the rest of the chart hasn't come out of it yet. That's good. But as we look, as we've made this down move in the VIX, you notice that the back month futures have come down as well, and pretty aggressively down. Now, what does that really mean? It's hard to say, but to me, it means that futures are expecting this stuff to come in even more, as far as I'm concerned. So when we see the December future down to 27, I believe that speaks to the fact that people are expecting this to go lower as a long-term average. And indeed, 27 is still higher than the average. An opinion on the VIX and the upcoming election. Well, certainly the fireworks are not over for the market. This is just a brief break in time. However, that doesn't mean that the VIX will stay up this high. I can't predict what will happen in the future. What I can say is that I do believe that we will go back into contango and stay there at some point soon. It seems unlikely that the VIX will stay this high. I would expect it to go back to some sort of mean. Somewhere around in the 20s, I would say. That's kind of a wide range, of course, but my prediction is that we get back down there. Now, certainly there's no way to predict what happens in the future, and just because we've made a down move here doesn't mean that things will stay that way necessarily. However, this is good news for those of us who are short right now, and certainly I have short positions on now. Hey, what's up, Oliver Rios? Okay, so let me just show you what positions I have on right now. And once again, really good marks yesterday for the butterflies I have on. If you look at the P&L, it showed me making $6,000 yesterday, which isn't really true. That will probably come out right on the open today. It's just that when they widen the markets out on this illiquid stuff, sometimes it shows you making money that you didn't actually make. So I anticipate that to go away. But if we just look at the Greeks for the positions here, if we go to SVXY, it shows us. And now these Greeks kind of bounce around due to the marks as well, which is interesting. But it shows us long 1,200 deltas right here in SVXY. And SVXY appears to be, it looks like it's going to open up about 75 cents, something like that. Let's see, where did SVXY close? Closed 32.64. It's going to open 33.60 something, it looks like. So up a buck. So shows us long 1,200 deltas up a buck. So that should be a win today. And then VXX, currently showing our delta in VXX. No, not long 150. There must be some other stuff in the model there. Here we get rid of that. Short 95 deltas in VXX. So basically, I'm just coming in short the VIX here, and that's worked out for today. I encourage you to check out my positions because I'm one of the only traders on YouTube who actually publishes my position with P&L, win or lose, every day. So you can follow me, and you can make fun of me when I lose money, or you can applaud me when I make it. But either way, you know that it's real. Here's a listing of my recent trades. If you want, you can take a snapshot and look through those. Certainly, it's not been a good year for me P&L wise. I definitely lost a lot of money in this account at the beginning of the year, but we'll see how we do moving forward. You know, tomorrow's another day. We're forward looking with the market. And let's see what we've got going on here. We've got gold down a little bit. You know, gold's made just such a huge move. And it really kind of makes sense to me that gold has moved up just due to the fact that we know that governments are just printing money. You know, they're printing tons and tons of money. They are financing all of this bailout and things like that. Let's see. Yeah, the short vol has already been making gains for weeks. Contango is not big news to short vol traders, it seems. That's correct, Mark Jones. Contango, we're just marking the passage of it switching into Contango. It doesn't change anything like minute to minute with us, but it does mean that we've moved into a different mode, and it means that basically the decay becomes more on the side of the short vol trader than the long vol trader as we move into Contango, because while we're in Contango, every day when we rebalance, essentially in a way they're selling something that's cheaper and buying something that's more expensive, and that rebalancing it allows more room for these things to fall down towards spot. So essentially we're just marking a point. It doesn't change anything specifically for traders that we've moved into Contango. However, as Contango builds and it becomes a greater and greater percentage, that will become more and more advantageous for those who are short vol. If we pull up the chart once again, you can see that the percent that we're in Contango, even if we have a great day with the VIX, the percent that we're in Contango will be relatively insignificant. But we do like to mark the fact that we are back in Contango, and currently it's just showing 0.16%, so very small. But there it is, back in Contango. Just an exciting mark in time, but certainly it's not like a game changer to anybody's position right at this moment. It just references the fact that the curve is normalizing. Now the back end of the curve, if you get Brent's emails and newsletter, you'll know that the back end of the curve is still steep in backwardation. So we haven't come out of this completely, and I think that just speaks to the fact that we're still at a very elevated level, and we need to move lower to get back to a more reasonable level. So I don't believe that it means that we have to take out the all-time highs to get back down there. I just think that if the market doesn't move around, it's been very sluggish lately. And if the market stays sluggish, we can get back to a lower VIX even at this level of the market. It doesn't take us rallying all the way back for that to happen. So there you have it. It's exciting for me. I am a cheerleader for the short vol, and so seeing us back in Contango is a very exciting moment for me. I wish you all the best of luck trading today. We'll see if we can end this way on the close. If we can, that will be really exciting. Hope you do well trading today and always, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Best of luck today.